This is a presentation on document management by Syndicate Group Green 6. Most organizations have realized that knowledge is one of the key and valuable resources that a company can use in order to establish competitive advantage over organizations that are lagging behind. Our topic of interest within the knowledge management framework is document management. Document management is the capture, storage, and retrieval of documents in an organization. It is also used to control the life cycle of documents in the organization. We selected this topic because many knowledge management initiatives start with document management as it is an easy project to sell to senior management. Most of our syndicate members have been or are currently involved in the implementation of a knowledge management system in their organizations, and participating in this research project provides us with an opportunity to benchmark our previous or current actions with best practices. As a syndicate, we met and agreed that the best approach to execute the research was to use a real-life example. To this end, we decided to use BHP Bulletin, commonly referred to as BHP because this organization is in the process of implementing a document management system. We designed an interview questionnaire containing the following questions. Why did BHP consider document management? What needed to be done before starting the implementation? What measures will be used to determine the success of the document management project implementation? And who is involved in the planning and implementation of the project? The risk associated with the implementation of the project was also taken into consideration. One team member, a BHP employee, was asked to interview some of the key players that were involved in the implementation of a document management system at BHP. This member, who was responsible for gathering the information, then circulated the results to all the syndicate members, after which we had a review meeting to discuss the findings. We recorded the relevant research findings. We also analyzed the implications of our findings for BHP and provided them with recommendations. BHP considered document management for a number of reasons. Firstly, they wanted to manage their regulatory and legal exposure in relation to the documents they create, receive, store, disseminate, and delete. They also wanted to improve their productivity through more efficient management of business information that was contained in their various documents. They also wanted to improve their practices and processes in relation to the management, sharing, retention, and disposal of business information captured in their documents. They also wanted to identify areas where BHP can leverage common business information systems, services, and solutions captured in the organization's documents. Last but not least, they also wanted to enable BHP to meet their corporate governance obligations for legal and financial record keeping, and to provide a disciplined approach to document management in order to generate productivity improvements across the group. What did BHP need to do before they started the implementation? Well, we believe that in order for BHP to establish a successful document management framework, they needed to build a framework that integrates policy, standards, practices, technology, and other guidelines. As is evident, policy is at the apex of the things that BHP needed to ensure are in place before they actually started establishing a framework. This would be supported by standards, practices, technology, and broad guidelines. Further, BHP needed to ensure that there is alignment and assessment before getting ready for deployment. The first step in this process would be to mobilize, which involves preparing for the journey through ensuring executive and key sponsorship, ensuring that there is an organized method of going about the process, and also ensuring that there are KPIs. They also then needed to assess the current state of the organization in relation to the project they needed to embark on by looking at people, processes, technology, and available information. And lastly but not least, they would have needed to plan for the deployment, get ready for checkpoint meetings, and also understand how evaluations would be performed. It is common cause that one would need to be able to understand what to measure in order to know whether the deployment has been successful or not. This document shows how a knowledge management framework can be used in the document management process. Some of the people that were involved in the project, from this schematic we can see definitely that there needs to be a high level of executive representation of the resources deployed in order to make sure that the project was a success. Within BHP, this went all the way up to the group CEO and cascaded through the various executive structures into the business. Some of the risks associated with the implementation of the document management system include people, cost, and risk management, and there are various elements that can be spoken to in each of the three work streams. Risk management, for instance, would include a loss of production due to resources being deployed to implementing the document management project, possible damage to equipment, possible litigation risk. In terms of cost, there is a financial element involved in terms of rands and cents, as well as time and possible inefficiencies experienced as a result of the project. And people may use incorrect information. There may be a need for new reworks, and there may be a need to have manual interventions to ensure that the project is successful. In order to understand the implications of a document management system to BHP, we also looked at where BHP currently lay in terms of their strategy and the business that they wanted to deploy, based on the impact on strategy and also on the impact on business operations. BHP is currently in the turnaround strategic quadrant according to McFarlane's strategic grid. The technology that BHP must use to support the document management framework has to have high impact on the strategy, but can be low on business operation. However, the intention of BHP is to move to the strategic quadrant, and therefore, from the onset, they should invest in technology that has high impact on strategy and on business. In terms of the Gartner hype cycle, the technology must be in between the technology trigger and the peak. Looking at BHP, we also sought to understand the kind of collaborative model that would work for BHP, and we came to the conclusion that this is the elite circle, which is a select group of participants chosen by a company that also defines the problem and picks the solutions. Primarily because BHP is a global company and has got a wide geographic reach, this seemed to be the most suitable means of collaborating. It will be a closed group where BHP defines the problem, selects a group of participants who are also hierarchical. This also require a buy-in from a business unit in order to minimize reliance on direction from corporate IT and external third parties. Based on the information received, BHP would do well to firstly define the need for a document management system, establish the need, what needs to be done before implementing the project, and defining to some extent the measure of success of the project, establishing who some of the relevant people required to be involved in the project are, identifying the risks associated with the project, putting in place a document management strategy which is aligned to the business strategy, as well as having strong executive support. BHP should also consider the following: having a change management process which articulates a compelling vision, reinforcing the vision through recognition systems, providing the required skills and resources, and ensuring they are role models who communicate the visions to all the different role players. Underestimating the amount of effort required to facilitate the change could prove fatal to the entire process. They need to create a clear and consistent understanding of the measures required to demonstrate progress. Progress checkpoints need to be an integral part of the project. They need to put in place a robust budgeting process that will ensure that insufficient budgeting is avoided and that the project is not justified by using inaccurate figures. Having a strategy that will ensure compliance with emerging legislation and corporate governance in various jurisdictions requires organizations to demonstrate a business-wide active retention or disposal program that addresses corporate governance, legal, and regulatory requirements across the various geographies that the company operates in. In conclusion, BHP has created a good platform for implementing the document management system by having the document management framework in place that supports the business strategy. As BHP is in a turnaround mode with a view to moving to strategic mode, it must ensure that the technology used to support the framework is new and reliable, and also choose the elite circle of collaborating and implementing the project. The board and executive team must be involved in order to ensure proper IT governance. BHP must ensure that the recommendations set out above are implemented in order to mitigate the risks associated with implementing a project of this magnitude. In light of the above, and subject to the implementation of the recommendations, BHP are in a position to implement a project that will deliver all the business objectives successfully. Thank you.